Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
This is episode 118, and tonight we got Glencadam Origin 1825. And shout out after that, we have our shout outs and get it together. It's restaurant review being the Metropolitan Bar and Grill. And then our topic is a movie review of The Machine. Before we get started here with the Scotch Review, once again, thank you to all of our new subscribers on YouTube and Rumble. And thank you for all the listeners and supporters on our podcast platforms. We greatly appreciate all of you. Please like, share, and subscribe. And leave comments down below. We greatly appreciate that. And we are trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. So please do us a favor. Please subscribe to our podcast, even if you only listen to us once. We would greatly appreciate the assist on trying to get up to 1,000. So that way we can open up some new features in our YouTube channel. All right, with that, we'll let's get rocking and rolling.
That's right. And as Noah said, even if you don't finish an episode, please subscribe because it helps fulfill our desire to get to that level where we are given so much more freedom and tools to create a better experience for our viewers. We really would appreciate it.
Scotch Reviewed.
This week, we do have the Glencadam Origin 1825. We're going to call this a NAS, N-A-S, Scotch, single malt Scotch whiskey from the Highland. And why NAS? It's no age specified. There is no age.
So it's not like NAS that we throw in your cards like the Fast and the Furious?
Not NAS, no, not nitrous oxide. This is no age specified.
Oh, man.
Or as it's called in Scotland.
I wanted to push a button and get like super drunk.
Dude, it's only 40% ABV, but as it's truly called, it's a no age statement. I call it no age specified, but no age statement single malt Scotch whiskey from the Highlands. Glencadam, as it mentions, 1825. It actually came about in 1823, located in the Burr of Brecon. It was built in the wake of the Excise Act of 1823, as a matter of fact, originally owned by George Cooper before he sold it very shortly after building it in 1827 to David Scott. In 1854, Glencadam was sold to the Canadian distiller Hiram Walker as part of a large acquisition that took place in Scotland. They were still struggling post-World War II and all of the economic situations that faced. This was very common for a great vast number of distilleries at the time. The distillery was mothballed. You've heard this term before because, again, something weird happened around the late 1990s to the early 2000s. Scotch wasn't super popular, so they mothballed the Glencadam distillery in 2000. Mothballed really meaning that they shut it down, cleaned it, sanitized it, got it ready either for sale or reopening sometime in the future. But the real point is they really cleaned it from head to toe, got rid of everything that was potentially dangerous, damaging, hazardous, got it ready for quick sale and or reuse, and then 3 years later is acquired by Angus Dundee of London, who later, very shortly later, started producing single malt scotches again, with key focuses on they are non-chill filtered, no color added, and they have the water source of the berry burn. So much like every other great Scotch, and we're going to hope this one's great, they do have a preferred water source that they really do cling to. It is matured in ex-bourbon casks that are white American oak, and then further aged in ex Oloroso sherry butts to give it some different flavors. The Glencadam signature whiskey characteristics, if you will, include a rich, oily texture. I'm curious what that is. You know, I'm still trying to.
I like sherry butts, and I cannot lie. You can do those side bends and sit-ups, but please don't lose that sherry butt.
That's right. So we've got this rich, oily texture, and then also creamy flavors. This one in particular, they have noted to be rich on the palate with bananas, pineapple, pears, boiled sweets merged with soft spice, and a hint of floral note on the finish.
Yeah, I don't know where that oily stuff comes from.
Yeah, dude, I just skipped.
Sorry, I just had to like get that cherry butts thing out of my head before.
I mean, oily. That's like swamp ass, man.
It is like swamp ass. And then when you say like the creamy stuff, I'm like, where did that creamy stuff come from? Like, maybe we don't want to know.
I don't like. I was like, if you want to go there with the big old butts and the sherry butts, like, hey.
I didn't say I like big old butts. I said I like cherry butts.
Why is it oily and creamy? Oh, it feels so good right now. I'm out.
Tapping out. No butt cheese for me.
No butt cheese. All right. So this particular expression, and they do have Portwood expressions as well, but this particular expression, the origin 1825, originated in 2016, and has been a success for them ever since. Now, what success for them means versus enjoyment for us, we are about to find out. It has not been a huge name in Scotch, but as we've learned from some of the other expressions, distilleries, and master maltsmen, they can produce some really great things that have surprised us and may surprise you as well.
Yeah, well, this particular distillery has no visitor site. So I got no tour information here. So hence probably why I had to start thinking about cherry butts.
Yeah.
But
brings back, the younger days.
It does have only one wash still and one spirit still. They're both pear-shaped. I forget how many liters, but I think it was like roughly 14,000. Yeah. And it does say that their malt, it actually gets sourced from a nearby industrial site, and it's not peated, so they don't peat their malt here. So I know that's something that we both like, is like we both like that peat. You probably more so than me, but I do like Lagavulin, and you like Lagavulin, and I like Ardbeg a lot, and I also like
vice versa.
Yeah.
We like them all.
Yeah, we like them all. So, being that we both like Isla, and Isla does tend to have some like good peat here, I'm wondering if we're going to notice like the absence of this of smoked peat or something in here.
Furthermore, why would you announce, from an American standpoint, we source our barley from an industrial site? Oh, is that where it gets the oily additives from the petroleum facility?
Yeah, it's going to make you wonder when they say industrial site. It's like,
maybe it was a poor choice of words.
maybe something got lost in translation there.
I can believe that for sure.
All right, I really don't have anything else other than that. Sorry.
No, it's good. This is as we go through cycles of scotches, we go high and we go low. This is a Highland, which if you really look at it, is the lower part of Scotland. But this is a Highland single malt scotch, 40% ABV, ex-American oak, white oak, bourbon cask, and Oloroso sherry butts. No age specified. And we're going for it anyway because you never know what you're going to find.
I did read something on the Master of Malts, I think website maybe, that they said the sherry butts is what gives it the sweetness, and the American oak is what's giving it the tropical flavor. I question that a little bit, but we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah. All right. Well, first things first. Not bad. but a very basic box, but at least it's still coming in one. As we've talked multiple times, I think that has been, for me, Ardbeg's biggest fail with the Hypernova, the Supernova. I think it's the Hypernova.
Yeah.
One of those two. Supernova.
I think you're right, Hypernova.
But with that Scotch, like, they've got it on the shelf at the liquor store by us all the time for a cool $200 a bottle. But
no box.
Where's the box of the tin? Like, that means something. Presentation does mean something at that level. It is not all about saving the world, because if your Scotch is that great, you're probably not producing that many canisters. And guess what? Great people are going to recycle them anyway. So you're covered, Ardbeg. You're covered. Don't worry about that step. So here, the bottle. Fairly light in color, clear looking. I don't know that I'm super impressed with the label, but I'm not unimpressed either. It is very basic, to say the least. I am sure it is a plastic topper, and if a cork top at all, a pressed cork top, but we are about to find that out. It's more of a sticker, I would say. Well, maybe not. It is a paper label. It is paper. The foil itself across the top, substantial, not cheap, perforated fairly well as it rips. The question is going to be, is the long run, is this something at a very remarkable about $30 per bottle on sale? Is this something we would take to a game night? We would take to a black tie event, or keep on our shelves?
Dum, dum, dum.
Actually, it's a real cork stopper with a plastic top. The color is more impressive than I thought it would be. Who knows? This could be one of the next big things.
All right, well, it's time for our warp speed and Scotch tasting notes here. So, cheers. Glencadam Origin. This is an origin story, supposedly. We should have done a superhero movie with this, with the Origin 1825 story.
Yeah.
But the Glencadam is a surprising delight. I actually never heard of this distillery before. Not really sure where you came across it, but it is enjoyable. Like I said, it's definitely a surprising delight. And when I first look at the presentation, I do like the box. I like the coloring. I like the gray. I like the gold. I like the black. I like the white, or maybe like off-white or lighter gray. But what I don't like is the labeling on the bottle itself. To me, it just reminds me too much of like a wine bottle labeling and not like a Scotch bottle labeling. And so I kind of knocked points off for that. And so I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Plus, I think is the top is a plastic.
Top is plastic.
Yeah. So, and I know like we've given some others a 4 that did have a plastic top, but I think the main difference there happened to be the labeling. Like the box itself keeps up with everybody else. It's just something about the labeling I just don't find very appealing. I just think it'd be something I'd find on a wine bottle. Not that it's bad, just to me, it's just not eye appealing. When we go to the color, I put the color down as a nice medium gold. Kind of just reminds me of like the, I don't know, do you remember the old movie, The Gladiator?
Oh yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, so like when he's walking in the fields of wheat and he's like has his hand going across, it just kind of reminds me of that kind of a golden wheat color, which I do like. I do like the color. And also being that there's no color added, I like that as well. So I gave that a 4 out of 5. So it's right there with everybody else on the color that we pretty much like. The aroma. All right. So here I really dug the aroma. This gets my highest points because it has like a nice sweet red berries. And even with the red berries, at first I didn't notice until we moved into the larger like highball type glass, where you also mentioned that you got more cherry, and that's where I started picking up the cherry as well. So that like with the red berries and the cherry, it had like a nice honey sweetness to it, and some vanilla creaminess in the smell. And I also put sap, and I think. Here's where I was getting kind of like, there is like a tropical twist to it here. And I think everyone who wrote about it saying like tropical flavors or whatever, I think they're right. But here's the thing is like, when I'm thinking of like tropical fruits, it's not so much like tropical fruits that like pineapples or anything like that, but it's kind of like that sappy molasses type of thing you almost get like with like a really ripe like mango or something that's kind of like where I got with the sappiness there in the aroma. I gave this 27 out of 30, so I gave it pretty high points there. The palate here it first starts off with a vanilla creaminess with some hints of winter spice, and that kind of flows into some malt flavors and ripe apricots. Which to me is like a very nice fruity, sweet flavor, which I really enjoyed as well. However, what it's lacking here is body. It's a very light-bodied Scotch, and I think this, even though it has like great flavors, I think the light-bodied Scotch, the light bodiness of it, really actually doesn't add to it. It actually, I think, it subtracts from it. And I would have liked it. I would have liked the creaminess to really like coat my palate or coat my mouth, and I would have liked the body just to be a little bit heavier, more like medium bodied, to where it just kind of lingered, and you could just like really,
cherry butts. Yeah,
you could really like kind of like, in wine tastings we would call it jamminess, where you kind of like feels like you can almost chew it a little bit. I would wish that this had that a little bit more. But I think because of how light it is, I'm not really sure how well it would stand up to the next day. And we only try these and we open these at the time when we start shooting. So I gave it 24 out of 30 points. I was questioning, I thought maybe 25, but really I think just because of the light bodiness of it, I think that kind of like detracts from it a little bit. Going into the finish, here I got a nice fruity finish with hints of barley and oak. And the finish itself, once again, still really light-bodied on the finish, but the time of the length I put as a medium finish is in length, not in body. So once again, I think we're missing out on the body and the finish too. But it does have a little bit of that lingering sweetness and with a slight bit of oak and hints of barley there. I liked it. I think it could have gone a little bit, like I said, I think it could have just been a little bit deeper in flavor and lasted maybe a little bit longer. But I gave this a 24 out of 30 as well. Once again, it could have easily been a 25, but here's my reluctancy of giving it like a point or two higher, is that I'm not really sure how well this is, after it being open, how well it's going to hold into the next day or the next few days. And so I'm rating this a little bit conservative in that sense. And so my grand total is 82 out of possible 100 points. Would I take this to a black tie affair? I probably would not. I don't think, like I said, the box itself, I think would hold up. The labeling is not kind of like what I would want to represent me going to a black tie affair. And I think because of the flavors and the body and stuff like that, yes, it's sweet, but it's also forgettable, I would say, in a sense. And so I wouldn't want to have this as being like, this is the Scotch that Noah brought and have that speaking for me, right? I would want something to be a little bit more bold. I would think, and a little bit more complex at a black tie affair. Would I take this to game night? Hell yeah, I would. I think this would be a fun bottle to drink at a game night. It's light, it's easy to drink,
Super easy.
and it's sweet. Would I put it on my shelf? Yeah, I think it has a place on the shelf. I also think this would be an after dinner scotch, kind of like you would drink for in place of maybe of an aperitif, or maybe something to enjoy with a dessert because of that fruity sweetness. Once again here, I think what might go well, and I'm a huge fan of this, is I love creme brulee. So I think the vanilla-ness and the creaminess of a creme brulee with the fruitiness of this particular scotch would go great. Or maybe if you had some like peaches and cream type of dessert, I think this would also go great with that. Like I said, I think this is, I could drink this on a warm summer day. I could drink it with dessert. I could drink it as like maybe my dessert drink after a dinner. And like I said, don't get me wrong, I think 82, I think it's a respectable score for this. I think it could score higher. My reluctancy to score it higher is I'm just not sure if it's built to last for more than just when you open it up. And would I recommend you go out and buy it? I think you said the price point's right around
$30 on sale.
Yeah, $30 on sale. Yeah, I'd say definitely pick it up and give it a try. I think you might be pleasantly surprised. And I would say, I'm still kind of a novice here in scoring, so don't let my scoring here sidetrack you from giving this a try.
I think it is an interesting scotch as well. I'm right there with you with many aspects of this scotch. First of all, I don't mind the box. I do think it feels cheap, but it looks great. But it feels cheap, but at the same time, man, looks are the biggest piece if you're the one pouring. So unless you're pouring for yourself, you're probably not even handling this box. Where we fall next is to the bottle. And I agree with you there as well. It's not the plastic top that does it for me. It is the label. And it is a label that is of maybe intended by Glencadam. Maybe it was something where it's more earth friendly. Guess what? Man, let's figure out a better way, because this is not something that impresses me. When someone sends me a letter, I absolutely look at the cardstock, the watermark, and everything else, and this is a label that fails. It just is not great. It's not bad. And that's the struggle, is it is not a bad label. It's just not strong. To me, the piece is when I think of scotch, I'm not thinking of a White Claw. I'm not thinking of this is the 21-year-old drink in America. I am thinking this is something that has withstood a test of time, even if it's a seasonal release or a special release. I want something that stands for more, and this label does not shout that out to me. So for me, the presentation also got a 3. The color for me did get a 4, and I not exactly as you phrased it, but for me, this is what I would call, and I don't want anyone to think about snowflakes or snow falling when I say this, but this is a winter blonde to me, where the lighter pieces of the blonde, like a field, a wheat field, are light, but then closer to the roots, it's almost brown because it's gotten no exposure to any sun. So it's definitely a winter blonde, that little hint of blonde at the root, and I like the color. It's a 4. With myself, the nose was also one of the strong points. For me, the fruit. Cherry, banana, pineapple, followed by, and I think this is where you get your idea to have it with creme brulee, is that vanilla sweetness, a hint of honey, which supposedly is the Glencadam character. It's this creamy vanilla Glencadam character. However, for 26 on the nose, that's where it is hard to follow, because the palate does not tell the same story. The palate is good. You still have the sweet cherry and pineapple. It's kind of like a fruit salad, though, where the flavors are intermixed. And then it goes into a little bit of spice. I'm not sure exactly what kind of spice I would classify it as, but it's more of a ginger and clove to me. And then in the body, that finishes with malt and vanilla. And it's really vanilla and then malt. And that's where the finish comes into play. The palate for me, I held true to the nose, not because they are the same, but at a 26. But the finish is the next line, and that is the finish does start sweet and fruity. There are hints of oak and pear, and I like the pear, but then I feel like it's kind of cut short. To your point, there was something once you get past the nose and you smell it, and it is all there. It represents a full presentation. This is a full Scotch, and you get to the palate, and it starts out strong. It's like Rocky, right? He's going hard. It does not finish like Rocky. It does leave me a little like it's got a hollow body at the end in particular, and I think it had so much potential. It is not a bad Scotch, don't get me wrong there. For the finish, for me, a 25, total score 84. And with that, though, man, I agree with you 100%. The nose was ultimately the win of this Scotch. I probably would have and could have been a little bit harder on the palate because the palate does not hold up to the nose, but the palate at the front still offers a invitation. It's something that makes me want more. Overall, 84. Would I take it to a black tie event? Not because of the box, but because of this label on the bottle. And it's the way the light shines through it. No. It doesn't look like it is of substance. It's like if you got the wrong Breitling or wrong Rolex or wrong Gerard Perregaux and you're going to the yacht race and they're like, dude, that's not going to make it through this race. Like, no, get off the boat. Get off the yacht. That is what this label says to me is, well, what do you mean you couldn't afford a pocket square? Like, go get the rest of the details and finish it. And that may seem a little harsh, but that's real. With that, much like yourself, would I take it to a game night? If it was in a warmer month, especially in the summer, hell yeah. And that is because of the fruit forward flavors at the beginning. I think it is perfect here in America for all those individuals who want to drink something that reminds them of their White Claw, where you have this immediate splash of fruit followed by, oh, I just drank some seltzer water. Like, okay, there goes my Perrier. Why the hell did I pay for salt to be added to my water? I don't know. It's not that simple. I'm not trying to take away from Perrier, but that is the bottom line here, is it is so fruit forward at the beginning. I don't know how you can follow up and finish with that unless you do add some peat or some smoke, or it has a lot more oak or cream. This does not. Overall, 84. Does it have a place on my shelf? At the end of the day, if I've got $50, am I going to spend $30 on this and save 20? Nah, I'll buy something else for $50.
It's time for our shout-outs.
Oh, man, my shout-out and Get It Together are along the same platform. They go into Formula One, and this is what's hard. My favorite team, Ferrari, Get It Together. And then my second favorite team, and for someone who's matured greatly as a driver, Honda's powertrain in the Red Bull Verstappen-driven vehicle in Formula One. That is my shout-out once again. Nailed it.
Yeah, Verstappen did nail it. That's for sure, right? They said like this is like the most anyone's ever led.
Oh yeah,
in
Formula One.
I think in the Spanish Grand Prix.
Yeah.
All right, my Get It Together, or I guess my shout out. Sorry, not Get It Together, but shout out here. I don't really have one, so I'll just give a shout out to all the friends I visited out in Utah for taking the time to visit with me. So thank you to all of you.
That's important.
It is. Any get-it-togethers?
Well, that was just it, Ferrari, man. I love you, Ferrari, but get it together in Formula One.
Yeah, get-it-togethers for me. There's out in Utah, right? So this I'm gonna put my get it together and put it in with the Noah's travel notes, since I did travel to Salt Lake. So Salt Lake, actually they redid their airport, and so it's a really nice looking airport in there, like both Concourse B and Concourse A, really nice looking. They made it wider and bigger so that way they can get more international flights, going back and forth from there. Here's where they failed. They have no tram system. So it takes about like 20 to 30 minutes to walk from Concourse B to the exit of the airport. And not that for me, it didn't really bother me that much, even though I'm short and fat. But what I worry about is like these old people who can barely walk, or people who have trouble walking. You really like this airport set itself up to fail, where they have no transit system to go from these air carriers that are in Concourse B to get to like the exit of the airport, or to where baggage claim is. So I think that was really poor planning on their part. So I'm going to give the Salt Lake Airport, as much as pretty as it is, it has to get it together because of how they built their concourses and how long and how far you have to go, because it's really weird. You have to go like up, and then you go down, and then you go like it almost feels like you go up and down a couple times, because when you first arrive there, you have to go up the escalators to go through security, and then you go through security. And then when you get to, I think, the end of Concourse A, or in the middle of Concourse A or somewhere, you actually go down to this big, long, underneath tunnel, and then you pop back up. It's just, it's weird how they have it designed. So honestly, I think they just need to get together, maybe build a small tram system for that underneath area there or whatever. But I'll tell you what, Delta set themselves up, because Delta did help them pay for it, and because of that, Delta is all right there. You walk through security, and then there's like all these Delta gates.
Well done, Delta.
Yeah, well done for Delta. Also, there's a couple places. I went to a few restaurants out there. I went to the Green Pig Bar and Grill. That's a pretty nice. It's a fun place there. They have an upstairs patio. I didn't get to sit up there because it was raining, so I missed sitting out on the rooftop patio there. But that would have been fun. I went to this place called The Porch. This place, it gets get it together. Here, the chef and the owner are battling it out to who should win, and it looks like the chef lost and is leaving their position. But they are trying to be a high-end restaurant, but falling way short of it. They're charging $7 for a Kirkland orange juice, which, if I'm going to pay $7, I'm going to a high-end restaurant. I want it to be freshly squeezed orange juice, so I want it to be fresh. They also notate on their menu that everything has to be served as is, no substitutions. So it's really hard to get like anything extra, like ranch for your fries or anything like that. So that place is called The Porch. It's in Daybreak. That place, I would say, get it together. Would I recommend going there? Probably not. I would not. I would say you can bypass that place. I probably would go to the bar and grill that's like probably 2 doors down, called The Break, and get myself a burger there or something like that. Then I did revisit the downtown P.F. Chang's there. Had a much better visit at P.F. Chang's this time in Salt Lake than I did with you back in November.
That was rough.
That was a rough visit. And that was between Christmas and New Year, so maybe that was just a bad time to go in the first place. This time, this service was much better. But But yeah, so that's a little bit about Salt Lake. If you do go out there, there's some really cool places to go downtown and try out. The Green Pig is one that I would recommend. If you want something a little bit off downtown area, there's a place called we always call it Chupacabra, but they have these things called Ducky Death Stars there. So you get it's basically like a punch bowl, and you get like a rubber ducky in there. If you go there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's a pretty good deal. But I'll have to figure out what the name of that is. But I'll leave it in the comments or. This week's restaurant was the Metropolitan Bar and Grill.
Man, the Metropolitan Bar and Grill, we're talking just a block east of, maybe 2 blocks east of I-25. Amazing. And Dayton, right? Not Dayton. Dry Creek. Metropolitan Bar and Grill, just a block and a half, 2 blocks east of I-25 on Dry Creek Road. And I'd been there once previously myself just for an appetizer. This time we went and we had a full meal, and it was a pleasant surprise. So they have the Monday burger deal, and it was a straightforward Monday American burger deal. You get your patty and some cheese. They slap some onion, tomato, lettuce, ketchup, mustard on a brioche bun with some great fries. The burger was cooked perfectly. And then you get a draft beer to go with that, all for $14. Before comparing it to anything else, $14 for that, you compare that to a value meal at McDonald's where you're getting a soda versus a draft beer. Yes, this burger was that much better. Yes. And I love McDonald's fries. These fries were that much better. Yes, the beer was that much better than a Diet Coke. And I, again, love McDonald's Diet Coke. So overall there was that. Now we did start with Noah's recommendation, and he ordered the Texas Twinkies. They were a win.
OMG.
God damn. We got some jalapeno stuff with cheese wrapped in bacon with a little drizzle of some sweet barbecue sauce. They were absolutely fantastic. A huge win. It really made us want to try most of the appetizers on the list for me, half the appetizers on the list for Noah. But with that, man, it was that good. It was that good of experience. You know, you bring in the comparison tailgate where you can choose any sort of burger. It changes things up a little bit, but still for a Monday night, a straightforward American burger, it was a home run for me. Would I meet a friend there? Absolutely. See me. Would I take a date there? Absolutely. The decor for me was, it's pretty modern. It's an 8. It's a mid-range restaurant. It's not really fast food, but it's not like so high that it's that far off. But the decor is solid 8. The service for us this evening she did great in my mind. It was a solid, I'm going to go with a 9. She wasn't over the top. That's what it takes to get a 10, but she did not falter once. Did a very nice job with every aspect of it. The food was absolutely a 9. It's reaching the potential to be a 10. And then overall value, man. What I walked out there paying for my dinner was absolutely great value, especially in these continuously trying times economically. So overall, I am going to give it, and we're not seeing a whole lot of these. We're actually starting to see some greater variances, much like with the Scotch, but I'm giving it a 9.
All right. So for me, I'm going to compare this to the porch because there's a lot of similarities here. The decor on the inside, very modern in both places, Both places have outdoor patio seating. And right here, the Metropolitan Bar and Grill beats the porch. It really does.
It was, for being modern, it was still cozy.
Yeah, exactly. Then when we go into the mill, right, over at the porch, I got a burger and fries. Here, I got the All-American burger, just like you, burger and fries. But for $14, I paid $14 for burger, fries, and a beer. Over there is $15 for a burger and fries. And I'm like, the burger itself had great flavor. I mean, for just an average, like, regular burger, it's just a patty, a cheese, onion, tomato, lettuce, ketchup, and mustard. I had to ask for mustard. I wasn't really sure if there was mustard on there.
You got extra mustard.
I got extra mustard, but it was great. It had great flavor. The place, the porch in Salt Lake, it had this kind of like the way they called it was a hollandaise cheese with lettuce and tomato, but there was no like red onion or anything there to give you that nice crispness, and there was no way, and you couldn't substitute anything right there. So it was just like, it actually tasted better with some little bit of ketchup. But here, the All-American burger just had better flavor, even though it was basic, as compared to this other one where they were trying to be super fancy and failed. The meat had great flavor to it, and it was just honestly a really good burger. And I think what kind of complimented the burger and the fries here is the choices on tap that they had. They had good beers on tap to choose from, and I went with the Breckenridge Palisade Peach, which is an excellent summertime beer. Honestly, I give the food a 9 here. I think it was a great value. The one thing like it loses out to Tailgate too is Tailgate gives you the variety of different hamburgers to choose from. But at the end of the day, a burger with a pint at Tailgate, you could choose any burger you want and get a pint, and that's just basically the same cost as getting the All-American burger over at the Metropolitan. So if I just wanted just a basic burger, hands down, I'll probably go to the Metropolitan. If I want a variety of burgers to try from, I'd probably go to I'd go to Tailgate, and we go to Tailgate a lot. But here's the separating factor though. Those Texas Twinkies were phenomenal. Like that sweet barbecue sauce with that bacon wrapped around the jalapeno with cream cheese.
God.
That was so tasty and so good. It was excellent. I just wish that maybe we got the full order next time instead of like the happy hour special of 2. But it was excellent, and I think that is kind of like the kicker that kicks up and above. So really, the price of my meal, because I ended up getting 2 beers this time, where I normally I would only get 1, or sometimes I don't get any at all. I still walked out of there, paying like a little over $25 a tip. So I'm not hating life on this one. This one is great. I think it's a great deal.
And you covered the Texas Twinkies.
Yeah, and I covered the Texas Twinkies. The other really nice part about this here is like the wait staff was great. She was kind. They're prompt in serving us. They even joked with me when we walked in, because I made a comment like, oh, I guess I really didn't need to make a reservation. And the person who sat us down, the hostess, was laughed with us on that. So, because when we got there, it was, I think, it hadn't quite hit. I mean, happy hour had already been going on, but it was a Monday, and I don't think people really had gotten off of work yet, maybe, or whatever. As we were leaving the bar area, it was starting to fill up a little bit. So yeah, this is middle of the road. It's not high end, not low end. The service, I give that a 9 as well. The food was a 9. The atmosphere, I give that about an 8 as well. So really, I think overall, grand scheme, I'm going 9 here as well. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with this place. And their menu is actually pretty reasonable. Like a lot of things on their menu is like $15.
Yeah. Now the Monday All American Burger Night is a special. I didn't look even to see how much the regular burger for All American Burger was, but $14 for fries, a pint, and a burger. I was like, I'm in.
Yeah, I think when you look at their menu, you'll see like most of the things on there is like $15 anyways. So you probably would have been looking at like maybe like $20 if you got the burger and a beer. So you're basically saving $5 with the Monday All American Burger.
Hashtag winning. And as you mentioned, those Texas Twinkies, winning.
That was if you go there, let them know Scotch Hour recommended you to go there and order those damn Texas Twinkies. You'll love them. Yes,
and go on Monday if you're going after the burger. They had some other great specials throughout other days of the week I really want to try, and we're both pretty particular with our Philly cheesesteaks, but Friday night they have a special with the cheesesteaks. Maybe we'll go back sometime and test them out. We'll give them a try and let you know.
All right.
This week's Smarter Challenge, the 2023 release, The Machine. It's an
spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah, tons of spoilers. Comedy/action as opposed to Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, action/comedy. They kind of mix things up here. Directed by Peter Atencio. Hasn't directed a whole lot.
Oh, I didn't even look to see who the director was.
Hasn't directed a whole lot. Based on the comedy of Bert Kreischer, who's been a comedian for a while, and his comedy is great. And then also it's a screenplay by Kevin Beagle. First wrote in Scrubs. He was part of the Scrubs team. I think that was season 9, and then helped with the writing of and the concept of Cougar Town for Courtney Cox, because she asked him to come up with this concept. They did 13 episodes together. I never saw any one of those. Saw several episodes of Scrubs. Don't know if they were his. They were pretty funny, but it's a relatively new group. All around, the most seasoned person would really be Bert Kreischer, because he's done all of his YouTube videos.
Mark Hamill?
Okay, Mark Hamill in the movie. Yeah, I got you. But once you get past Mark Hamill in the movie, again, it's a pretty... Actually, some of the other actors and actresses have a pretty long litany of works as well, but nothing that has really stood out. And, man... What were your initial thoughts?
All right. So when I first saw the trailers to this, I was super excited to go see this movie. I thought it was going to be great. You know, Mark Hamill does like an awesome job in a lot of his movies. If you take away Star Wars, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I loved him in Star Wars.
Yes, I love it.
I didn't like what they did in like The Last Jedi, or the final trilogy with Mark Hamill, and how I think they did Disney did a disservice to Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker. But take that all out and put that all off to the side. I think Mark Hamill has a bunch of like really great pieces of work out there. When he played that. In Kingsman, that first movie, The Kingsman, he was a professor. He's done the Joker in the animated series of Batman. But he's done some pretty good stuff.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So I think
as himself,
he does actually a pretty good job here as playing the father figure, and. So, looking at the trailer, I'm excited. Mark Hamill's in there. I like Mark Hamill. The storyline of this guy, getting totally trashed in college and hanging out with the Russian mob and then having to come back to haunt him seemed like a funny and great story. So I'm like, yeah, this is good. This has got to be a knockout. This has got to be a Grand Slam movie right here. But I was highly disappointed. And, before I get into why I was highly disappointed, that was my my initial thought. But like, what was yours?
I went in. This was my smarter challenge. Stoked just like you. This is one of those movies where they won with the pre-release advertising. They didn't even have to release John Wick 4 or JW4. They didn't have to advertise a lot of the great movies that have come out lately, but they did a really great job advertising this one. All of those other movies, I came out of the theater, this is better than anything. And this one, I came out of the theater being like, why the fuck was this my smarter challenge?
It was weighed, measured, and you're found wanting.
I was found way wanting. Like, I'm like, I don't even know if the hot chick, the Russian mobster chick, Iva Babik, as Irina, like, I'm like, was she hot? Was she not? Like, you got to have a sex symbol in every movie. He's not it.
No, he's not it.
And I can't decide about her.
I agree with you. I couldn't decide that about her either. I thought there were some scenes where she looked pretty smoking, and there's other scenes where I'm like, she's average.
You got hit by an ugly stick overnight.
I'll say this: like, after seeing the movie, I think what spoiled the movie for me, and maybe if I never had watched it, it might have been better, is I went and looked up, because I didn't know this was an actual, he was an actual comedian, and this was part of his stand-up comedy skit, which is actually based on a true story of what he truly experienced. But when I listened to his The Machine comedy skit, that was funny. It was pretty funny. But I think what made it even better was like the second skit I listened to, which was Flying Dildos. And that was hilarious. But like watching those two skits back to back, I was like super duper excited to go see this movie, because I was hoping it was going to be as funny as those two skits.
You had shared those skits with me last week, right before we filmed the previous episode, and I agree with you. They left me so hopeful, and then I left so wanting. And the biggest thing I would say is, for me, I think the fail was the ads that I had seen, the previews, really made me think there was going to be more action with the comedy. And it was a fail. I at no point thought in any way he was special. I in no way at the end even cared if he lived. Like, I really didn't. Like,
yeah.
Dude, you screwed up. You stole some watch that you didn't, like a pocket watch you didn't realize. Like, and maybe that was part of it too, is I have a huge affinity for watches, or timepieces, I should say. And the fact that he gave that, like, he dismissed it, actually bothered me. I'm like, I don't care about you. Like, go die already. You're obviously a shitty dad. You have a terrible relationship with your oldest daughter and your wife. I'm ready for this to be over.
A shitty relationship with his father.
Yeah, like, where is this guy?
And his whole trip, right, which is, based on a true story about what he experienced, is all based upon him getting drunk, acting like an asshole, and blacking out doing things.
And not really remembering them.
Exactly.
No, I agree with it. The whole movie left me empty inside. I believe that's how I would finish it, is I don't know that I need to go into a ton of detail for a movie review that made me feel less great. I hoped for so much more. And at the end of the day, I'm like, man, like, you should have stuck to the comedy skit, because Cat Williams never left me wanting like this, and this guy's ruined tons of things in his life. He's like broken into houses and stolen family portraits. Like, it's messed up. Like, legitimately, he has his next comedy skit about that, and this really, it just was mediocre entertainment.
I agree. It was mediocre. What was your favorite scene, though?
I think when he gets kidnapped, I actually enjoyed that. Like, he's like, what the hell's going on? And she's like, let's go. I think that interaction, because again, it just showed like, dude, this guy is weak. Like, how did he just, what's going on? Like, eh. How about yourself? What was your favorite
So
scene?
when you're talking about like when he gets taken from his daughter's birthday party.
Yes.
Okay. That was pretty funny. For myself, I think it kind of has to do probably when he walks in on Mark Hamill. So
His dad.
his dad. So what happens is like on the train, the Russian mob was like going to kill his son because they didn't know where, he didn't remember what he did with the watch. So he basically kicks his son off the train, which I thought was pretty funny. But then you go a little bit fast forward into the movie a little bit further, and his dad is basically like I guess we'd call him the original machine, who happens to start partying with the Russian mafia, and he comes walking in and sees his dad partying with the Russian mafia, and then his dad was like hooking up with like some Russian chick, and there's like some comment, it wasn't right there, but like I think near the end of the movie, he's like, Dad, what did you do with that Russian chick that you said you couldn't do with my mom or something like that? The whole part, like with him seeing his dad partying with the Russian mafia, basically kind of like taking his place, like years later. I thought that was kind of humorous, and I thought Mark Hamill did a pretty good job of playing that off. But ultimately, it like the whole story left me wanting. It's all about him going through flashbacks. Oh, this is what I did during this time, I think. And this is what I think I did here. And this is who I met here. And really, I think you get all the same stuff just by watching the comedy skit.
All right. Mark Hamill, dad. What do you think it was that he could do with her that he couldn't do with his own wife?
I don't even want to go there.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. I agree with you. And after hearing you mention it, I think it was just literally like act like a kid again.
It could have been.
I think that's legitimately what it is. I believe that is one of
I think that's exactly it.
a huge potential fail in most relationships as you get older, and all of a sudden you can't, like, for men in particular, we can't go be idiots anymore. And guess what? Like,
he was being an idiot because he's like high on drugs,
idiot,
and doing stupid stuff. So yeah,
no part right. But what was he doing? He was probably doing exactly what he would have been doing when he met the machine's mom.
probably.
And I think that's honesty, and I think that's a reality, and it's also a tragedy because the older we get, really in relationships, the more we should go back to, hey, I'm not saying we should go be like drink and drive or anything. Hell no. But what I am saying is, let's go rent a hotel room and get drunk and be crazy and be responsible enough that we don't get in any trouble, but have enough fun.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think, yeah, you have to be like, here's the thing. Like, as you get older, you're supposed to be more responsible. You have, if you're married and you have children, or if you did get married and had children, you got divorced or whatever, you have all these like added responsibilities in your life. And I think what happens to a lot of people is that they forget that to have fun still. Like you're like, now you're like, think of like, everyone really is now like kind of like an adult kid, really. And sometimes you just kind of like maybe like let off some steam like that. And here's where I do give Bert, right? That's his name, Bert. Mm-hmm. This is where I give him some kudos. Is I think it's totally awesome that he's able to take his like college experience and turn it into a huge career and make lots of money. Now, I think what he did, he was kind of an ass by like, robbing his like classmates and stuff on a train. But like, I gotta give him kudos. It's a funny story. Maybe it might have been all that, like, it might have been kind of fun and cool to live through. But then when you look at like robbing from your classmates and stuff, that's kind of a shitty feeling though at the same time. So, and like, I've been there. I did some really stupid things when I was in college. And, I woke up in places probably where I did some weird things, like when I was out in Europe, and So like seeing him do all this stuff, I'm like total kudos to him. I wish I could have made some of my college experiences into a comedy skit and make tons of money. But good for him on this.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
It is.
And I think that's another piece is when you watch his comedy, or at least when I watch his comedy, I don't get engrossed in the fact that he's supposed to have the whole circle of life. It's that he's talking about an experience. And watching this movie brought in the whole circle of life. And it's like, dude, you haven't grown up. And I'm not saying don't have fun. Your dad's literally telling you still got to have fun. That's a point of the movie in my eyes. But you're failing at the basics. And hopefully you can do more in life. But now he's told his same high school, college story for as long as he's gotten past that. And we're talking about 30 years.
Yeah.
Time for a new story.
Exactly. So I would say skip this movie and just go watch the skits.
There you go. 100% agree with that. Yeah, I hate it when I have a bad smarter challenge.
Don't we all? I hate when I have bad ones too, and I hate it when you do as well.
Dude, but I think this is like the worst because even when we've had other things where we're like, hey, it wasn't that great, we still learned something. All I learned here was don't be this guy. Like, seriously.
No,
like,
I agree. That's why I'm laughing.
Like, dumb luck is the only thing that's gotten him here.
Well, yeah, and he made a comment too, like after he wasn't getting like any hits on YouTube or anything like that. And it didn't happen until a girl from his class actually verified that was a real story. And then that's when he blew up, and that's when his career blew up. And then like he's been like living on those laurels for a while now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a funny story. If you never heard it, it's definitely worth to hear. But it's definitely worth to listen. But I do think his dildo story with
NC-17.
the funny dildo story with Helen Keller and what's the lady's name again from Amsterdam?
I keep wanting to say Ann Shoots, but I know that's not it.
The one that's hidden in the closet, and there's like movies and plays written about her. There's a museum.
We're just going to talk about the Holocaust Museum in Amsterdam.
Damn it. Second time I forgot her name. Now I'm starting to feel like that asshole again.
Yeah, let's look it up. Oh, I've had my map on looking at the Metropolitan Bar Grill this whole time. My battery's getting low. All right, we're going to look at this.
And there's like, you even have to read her book in high school. Her diaries. Anne Frank.
There you go. I wasn't that far off. Frank, shoot.
So Anne Frank. That is such a hilarious story.
Helen Keller and Anne Frank is a hilarious story because it's like, no. He's kidding. He's kidding, right? And it's that funny. But it's all wrong.
It is so wrong because he's like going through the Anne Frank house where they had hid Anne Frank, and he's making all these jokes about Helen Keller, thinking that he's at Helen Keller's house and at Anne Frank's house.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they didn't have that in Braille. And they're like, she was locked in a closet. She couldn't read Braille.
And the way he tells the story too, he's like, some lady in front of me turns around and says, like, are you talking about Helen Keller?
He's like, who the hell is this lady? And who is she talking about? Oh.
But his whole Amsterdam story is pretty funny. I have had somewhat similar experiences in Amsterdam that he talks about, which is pretty funny when talking about it, but it is so awkward and I don't know how to explain it.
All we need now is a 12-inch flying dildo.
Yeah. And it's very uncomfortable.
All 12 inches, very uncomfortable. Jesus.
It's an uncomfortable situation to do what he talks about before he goes to the Anne Frank house. But if you believe that life is about experiences, I would say that you would need to go to.
What's going on, Steven?
I would say that you guys definitely need to, if you believe life's about experiences, go check out one of these so-called sex shows, and you will be, well, I don't know, lost for words, and you'll be like, this is the most messed up thing I've ever done.
You either be excited,
I don't think you'll be excited.
ruined,
I think you might be ruined.
or numbed.
You definitely be like,
And don't fight it. Don't lose teeth. Just swallow.
all right. Anything else you want to say about this movie?
Nah, it's to me, I agree. It had all the potential in the world, and the reason I looked at the director and the screenplay writer was just that is like, okay, knowing that the screenplay was by Kevin Beagle and he did Scrubs, it made sense. They're constantly bouncing between, oh, what happened yesterday? Oh, what happened a week ago? Oh, what happened 5 years ago? And that had I gone into this movie knowing that was what this movie was going to be like, I wouldn't have gone. It would not have been a smarter challenge. I wanted something that was action oriented and funny, something where this guy was mistakenly a badass, but not something where I really want to see his whole terrible life story. And I think that's the piece that I didn't want was I don't want to hear about how you're a loser when I'm voting on you to go to see this movie, that you're the winner. Like, you're going to come out of this a champion. And at the end, I actually felt like he was a bigger loser.
Yeah, I can see that. All right. I think I kind of summed up my thing. It was just watch the skits and bypass the movie.
100% agree.
All right. So next week's Scotch is the Tomatin. What?
This is the Tomatin, and we haven't looked this one up, but Dulchas.
Okay.
Dulchas or Julkas.
Nailed it. Whatever it is, you nailed it.
Dulchas. It
Looks
is.
like Dulchas.
Yeah. An American oak. Tomatin.
All right. And our next week's Smarter Challenge is going to be another movie review. I kind of wanted to do it on Spider-Man, but we're going to leave Marvel.
Okay.
And honestly, I think some of the DC movies are a little bit better than Marvel because they're kind of like more dark and stuff.
Definitely.
So I think next week, we are going to do a movie review on Flash.
Ooh, I like it.
So
Comes out this upcoming Friday.
it sure does.
I, just like with The Machine, am super stoked about this movie because of the previews. However, I have high hopes still that this one will not let me down.
I have high hopes that the Flash won't let me down either, because I think it's going to be kind of cool to see Michael Keaton be recasted as Batman, and I also think it's great that they have Ben Affleck being Batman too. And honestly, this might go against a bunch of people, but I thought Ben Affleck was actually a really good Batman, or Bruce Wayne, I should say.
I think he's been a phenomenal Batman and Bruce Wayne, both. And from the preview, spoiler alerts already for the next show, man, the messages I have heard and seen from the previews that I've seen already make this movie something that is very just that real, somewhat dark. I hope and I'm sure there will be some comic relief throughout, but it's not meant to be unscathing. I think even some of the comments they make in there is our experiences are meant to leave scars. We're not meant to go unscarred. Like, you have to learn from your scars to grow. And I 100% believe that, because that is the scar itself is a physical measure of pain. We're not talking about the metaverse here. We're talking about humanity, humans, not some computer program, but it's something where all of a sudden you broke an arm and you work it too hard and all of a sudden you feel it and you remember, man, I am not invincible. And that is something where even the Flash is realizing man, whether it's his body or his mind, his emotions, he is not invincible.
Well, I think that's who makes us who we are the experiences that we go through, whether they're good experiences or painful ones. And so, anyways, I look forward to it. I think it'll be, I'm hoping it's going to be a good movie. I'm looking forward to it a lot. And so with that, I'm going to say thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. We do greatly appreciate your support and watching our videos. Please, once again, like, share, and subscribe to our videos. And we appreciate all of you who watch us on YouTube, all of you who watch us on Rumble, and listen to us on all the different audio platforms. Thank you once again for myself and Jesse.
Yeah, remember, drink responsibly. Please remember to call a cab, call a friend, call an Uber, Lyft, anything. Do not drink and drive if you should not be driving. That is a big deal. Remember to appreciate life. Life is great. That does not mean life will always be easy. We are meant to learn from the hard times. Make sure you're learning from those. Make sure you share time with friends and family. I am super excited. This was an interesting episode just because the Smarter Challenge did not turn out at all as expected. Like sometimes we go and see a horror movie, we expect to be wrecked. This movie, I was wrecked and I expected to see an action comedy. Saw a comedy action. Not the same thing apparently. I am super excited about this. Tomaten Dulcis, American Oak for next week. This is matured in a combination of ex-bourbon and virgin oak casks. And we had a great experience with the Kubicon, the Tomaten Kubicon. What a well done Scotch from a distillery that only peats and smokes their Scotch 1 week out of every year. We got to enjoy that. Because of that, though, that was so great. I am excited for this. I am even more excited for The Flash. Hopefully you guys are finding things to be excited for as well. If you have any comments, please share recommendations. You loved the show, you hated the show. What did you love? What did you not hate? Do you have further recommendations about our scales and our scores on restaurants or the scotches? Please share those things. Anyone who has given one and has continued to watch this scene, that, hey, guess what? We really do take those into account. We really do want to be great. And we're enjoying and learning from this the whole way through. So we also thank you for that. And then, man, beyond that, until next week. Scotchman! Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.